all is right with the basketball world. God's gift to the game of basketball, the Boston Celtics, are back in the NBA Finals, baby. I don't think the Mavs did anything special. They played well enough to win, and win pretty good. You know what I mean? Yeah. I thought the Celtics didn't show up to play at all, and maybe if they showed some fight in the second half, they would have lost by 15 or so. Is he in the Red Sox Team Hall of Fame?
He is also in the Red Sox Hall of Fame.
Something about this guy being in the Team Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I did.
So,
deserving, man.
Which seems like it fit. Sports.
All right, Dan Ingham is here. We gave him a week off, and I got a ton of stuff.
I'm ready to roll.
I got a ton of stuff to unload on you right now.
All right, let's do it.
The first thing I want to ask you, we talked about this yesterday, and I can't wait to get your opinion on it. So Brittany Griner's being inducted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame on February 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Texas and LSU have a women's basketball game on February 16th. Do you think there is any chance that Kim Mulkey will go to that Texas Sports Hall of Fame induction?
I mean, there's a chance. And so I haven't talked to Kim in several years, so I wouldn't even pretend to know what she's thinking, but I would not put a lot of money on her being there.
Do you think they'll ever get it to get like come back together?
Nope. Kim, once Kim's broken off a relationship, typically it ends. You know? I mean, she's like, I don't think she has any ties to Louisiana Tech hardly anymore after leaving. I don't know. I mean, it'd be awesome.
Honestly, that is a great. That's why we have Dan Ingham here, folks. Yeah. That's a great reach back into history. Like, you go to Louisiana Tech in the press box at a football game, and they have a mural of all these important people from Louisiana Tech, whether it's Terry Bradshaw, and then she's right there in the middle of it. Mulkey is, there's not much of a relationship with that school,
which is why I think I think maybe she went back for something for Barmore, the old coach. But I mean, think about that. I mean, if you're Louisiana Tech, that's got to be a pretty important alum. Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, but I would say it's pretty unlikely. But it would be pretty cool if she did.
It'd be amazing, right?
Yeah,
I'm hoping that. It's going to take time.
Someone you and I both know. I'm not going to say maybe that person could make it happen.
Yeah,
I think
really.
I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. All right. What about? I mentioned before you came on here, and you're a media guy, savvy dude. What do you like? And I'm putting you on the spot here. I have no idea if you even thought about this, but LeBron going off social media, and then the retweeting of, Rich Kleiman, who's Kevin Durant's manager, talking about, hey, there's so much negativity out there in the sports world, your thoughts on that? Just a quick thought. I mean, I don't think it for him. He's so big. His brand is so big. I don't know how much it impacts him to not be on social media. And if it helps his mental health, go for it. I mean, I'm sure that, and I got to be honest, I haven't been following. I'm sure there's been a lot of hot takes on it, a lot of people talking about. I don't know what those have been. Yeah,
I'm sure some are like, oh, he's soft, he can't handle the heat, whatever. If he wants to do it, great. We could probably all scale it back a little bit, to be honest with you. So I mean, there's a reason why. I've got a son who's turning 13 tomorrow. We don't let him on social media.
Yeah,
that's maybe high school we'll let him on that.
Dude, I was talking to my girlfriend today, and she's got a 14-year-old and an 18-year-old or 15-year-old, and it's God bless you guys, with the phones and stuff, just trying to police that and do the right thing.
It's rough. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
he does have a phone, but we have pretty. It's pretty locked down, and he has to turn it into us and all that kind of good stuff.
I love it. He turns it into you.
Yeah, I told him he lives in a dictatorship until he's gone. That's just the reality of it. Yeah.
Sounds like playing for Kim Mulkey. I love it.
Fair enough.
All right, let's get to college football. The college football playoff. It's before we know it, we're going to be talking about the finality of it. There's a point in time where I feel like it's a little too soon, right, to start talking about this and ranking these teams. But now you're looking at it, it's wow, this is very real. As a fan, how much more are you interested? I mean, your team is toast, right? Oklahoma State. I know you still follow,
but in some ways that frees you up just to care about good football.
Yeah. How much more invested are you this time around with the stakes that are higher with the college football?
So I'm not sure that for me, I'm any more or less, because I loved college football before, and I still love college football now. Yeah. I guess there's more games that matter, or at least impact the playoffs, so that's fun. But for me, I'm not the fan that maybe they're trying to reach too. I mean, maybe they're trying to get just the casual sports fan who might tune into a I don't know, Arizona State football game because it has playoff implications. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd be watching that phone that even if it weren't. So I'm not sure I'm the guy, but for me, my level of excitement is just about the same. I think the playoff, I'm pretty fired up to see those playoff games and see if we get some fun upsets, that kind of deal. But for me, it's about the same.
When you look at the playoff rankings, I mean, it is SEC, Big Ten, all over the place. The Big 12 sort of like falling out of the picture.
Yeah, I think it hurt them that some of the teams that we thought were going to be pretty good are not good. Oklahoma State, Utah, Kansas State, 3 teams that have had a lot of success over the last 10, 15 years. They're not, I wouldn't call them brand names, but in the world of the Big 12, they are. Instead, you've got BYU, Arizona State. And I don't care what you say, there's a built-in bias. We all have it. And you look at schools that maybe are new to being good. You know, even Indiana, some people are like, what the heck? You know? Yeah. And so even though the committee seems to like them. So I think that plays against BYU. You put a different logo on BYU. Oh, that's just a one-loss team. They're still really good, but you know they haven't been good in a while, and they've won a bunch of close games. I get that. So, but I think you're climbing an uphill battle for the Big 12. They want to get 2 teams in, and the way that's gonna, I think some years the only way that's gonna happen is if you get 2 undefeated teams or an undefeated team and a one-loss team in that championship game, and that's hard to do. It's just really hard to do that.
What do you think about Big 12 basketball? I've been lucky. I got my like the first 4 games, right? Like 2 of them, one's at Arizona, one's at Utah. It's just a different look. Like as somebody who's an Oklahoma State fan, right, and has been for a very long time and has followed Baylor, how does this expansion of this conference, does it appeal to you? Or is it, honestly, is it like,
so,
oof.
Yeah. So go ahead, finish your thought. Yeah.
No, I mean, like, is it appealing or is it too much? Because, like, even myself, I'm pumped. I'll go wherever I get sent. But I'm like, wow, Utah. When I saw that the game was going to be in the state of Utah, immediately I clicked, like, muscle memory, it's going to be BYU.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, that's right. It's Utah.
So I'm glad in basketball, it's going to be a fun league. And I understand why the Big 12 added the teams that they did. It strengthened the league and it made it, secure for a long time. I don't love 16-team conferences. I just don't. It's not as fun. I like regional, and I'm not like putting my head in the sand because I get that for TV reasons and for securing the conference, you needed a bit. But I mean, that's not as fun. Like you're going to go, like I liked it when you played everybody in the conference every year. Yeah. Again, that's just me. I like double, so I'd go back to the Big 8 if I could, that's how far back up. But I mean, so, and again, I'm not old guy on my lawn about this. I get that things change, but I do think it kind of stinks when you got a 16-team conference, 18-team conference. It's just not the same. Like look at Indiana. Like when you get these teams that don't, like because of the schedule, I'm talking going back to football now, but they haven't played anybody in their conference. Not their fault, but they somehow have played like 7 of the 8 worst teams in that conference, Texas hasn't had to play as tough a schedule. Again, not Texas's fault, but I mean, a 16-team conference is just not as fun.
Scotty, where was that place off the top of your head that we went for the we got the acai bowl today?
Monaco?
So Scotty and I are at Monaco, right? Okay. We grabbed this acai bowl, and there's a woman and a man next to us, and they have it's Colorado gear on, like you could tell the official gear. And right away, I'm like, what the hell are they doing here? I'm like, oh, of course. They're here for a Colorado. They're a Big 12 school. It doesn't have to be Baylor volleyball or Baylor women's basketball hosting the NCAA tournament to get a school like Colorado here anymore. I'm just like, wow. It's a whole. It's still processing.
It's a good thing. It really is that the league's secure. I mean, do you want to be the Pac? I mean, if you're Oregon State or Washington State, I'm sure they wish the Pac-12 would have been more aggressive and made some different choices down the line. So I get it, and I'm happy for the future of the conference, and the schools that I care about are secure-ish. I mean, it's not quite what they were before, but it's just I don't love mega conferences. It's not as fun for the fan.
All right, so much to cover with you. A couple more things because it's been a minute. The Cowboys obviously just free fall. Okay?
Tank, baby. Tank. Yeah.
So the future of the Cowboys, this is where it gets kind of interesting. Like, who's going to be the Cowboys' next head coach?
Man, I mean, not Mike McCarthy. I mean, it's hard to envision
do you buy any of the Dion hype? Do you think it's a Bill Belichick? Like where in your experience covering the Cowboys and being around the team, like does Jerry Jones go with this? Or is it a total wild card?
he would go. I mean, he'll swing big and try. I mean, you got to call Bill Belichick, but does Bill Belichick want to go to the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Is that a franchise where he wants to go? I mean, where he, he's used to having a certain amount of control, even though towards the end, his roster making was not that great.
No,
if you look at the Patriots, but you certainly make that call. So I don't know. I mean, do you, and Deion Sanders, to talk about that one, I was a Deion skeptic, but the reality is he's won at both places he's been so far as a head coach, right? If he were, I saw Joel Klatt say, if he were to leave Colorado this year, he would leave a hero because he left that place better than he found it, and he's built a foundation there. So there's crazier things than Deion Sanders being the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, he feels like a college coach to me,
sure does,
in the same way Scott Drew does. But I guess that's also kind of limiting when you say that about somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, they're good with kids. Maybe they can't do it with grown men. I don't know, but I wouldn't put it past him. And I wouldn't. If you told me Deion Sanders is the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys, I'd be like, all right, let's roll. I'd be okay with it. I think it'd be fun.
I think Deion's almost too smart to go there, in a sense where I think he has something really special going in college. And I'm not saying he's going to stay at Colorado. I think he could go to Florida State. Like, I think the transfer portal, the money, he's got it all sort of figured out right now. And he's the hot guy. Like, I don't know. You go to the NFL, and he knows better than anyone. It's just a much different animal.
Yeah. And, I will say this, that Deion Sanders, he's flashy, but he's proven there's a lot of substance to him as a coach as well.
Yeah.
That he's, because they've gotten better as this year has gone on.
Yes.
They got their butt whooped by Nebraska. And it did not look good. And they've played a lot better since then. So I don't know. I could see him staying at Colorado. I could see him wanting to stay in college, but go somewhere where he has more resources than Colorado.
Yeah.
Where he can, do more in the NIL world. But yeah, I'd be fascinated if he were a candidate. But you got to get a new coach in there if you're the Cowboys. You just have to.
What are you more excited about right now? Baylor football or Baylor basketball?
I mean, if you're talking about this season, I'm still more excited about Baylor basketball. Yeah. But the reality is, let me say this. You know what? I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to say Baylor football, because this season could have been, we could have been looking at a new head coach and everything's going south, and they lose all those recruits that they've signed with the NIL money they brought in, that kind of thing, a good recruiting class. So I guess I'm more excited about the direction of Baylor football. I mean, their best case, they're going to win 8 games. That's fine. I mean, I don't care what bowl game they're in, and I know that it's just.
I think they might win 9 games.
Exactly, and that I meant regular season. You're right. They might win 9 games. You're right, and that's awesome. But I mean, they want to win Big 12 championships, so that's the goal. But I'm more excited about the direction of Baylor football, definitely.
By the way, you and I sat here about a month ago. I told you winning out was very, very, a very real possibility.
100%.
And now here we are.
I would be.
The problem is Kansas. That's like. But Baylor is playing so well right now.
I agree.
Like,
but you go down to Houston, you throw a couple picks against the Houston team that's got. I mean, that game is not.
They have really good. By the way, they have great cornerbacks. Houston does very good. So that could be an issue. But I think, okay, you got great cornerbacks. How about we run the ball right down your throat like we've been doing?
Yeah, they made that change at tackle, and that's been massive. I was talking to Ricky Thompson.
What was he saying?
He said the same thing. He said that was the biggest move on making the switch on the O-line right there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and that's probably a huge part of it. I mean, their offensive line getting better because they move teams down the field. I mean, you watch the line of scrimmage and what goes on there. They're blowing teams off the ball. Mm-hmm. And it's not just like TCU or Texas Tech. Like, it keeps happening.
100%. And they got the right guy at quarterback. I mean, that makes a big difference too. Yeah.
A lot of stuff changes when you got that right. All right, do you have any picks for us?
Bingo, I do.
Bingo, I do. First National Bank of Central Texas. Here's Dan.
And I'm not going to call anybody out like the guy you had on last week.
Like Corey Dickman.
I know Corey. Come on now. All right, so I'm starting with my college pick right here. I'm going Texas Tech on the road, giving 3.5 points against the Oklahoma State Cowboys, who have they've mailed it in. Their season's over, and I'm going Texas Tech, easy money, 3.5 point favorites. Give OSU the points. You still win with that one. So
easy money. All right, great Rodney Dangerfield reference.
I mean, you look at that line, you're like, how's it like 3.5 points? But then, and then this one, this is you would never. Normally, when you see a double-digit favorite in the NFL, you walk away from it. I just have a feeling. So the Chiefs are 10.5-point favorites over Carolina.
Yeah.
Like Kansas City, their first loss, they bounce back. They win by 2 or 3 touchdowns over the Panthers. Now, if you were in Vegas, what you would do is you would tease it down with another game, but we don't have the ability to do that here on this show right here. You would tease that down to about maybe a 4 or 5 point spread.
But I think honestly, one of the reasons your picks have been good this year, and Corey, I'm going to talk to him a little bit about this. Corey spreads himself thin with some of these teases, and I think that that's dangerous. I mean, the one and done. Right? Yeah. Like, let's get one game. Let's pick it right. Because then what happens is at the end of the year, you look at your body of work and, okay, maybe you didn't hit a bunch of home runs, but you slowly and surely have built, right, a nice little nest egg.
It's like someone who buys the mutual fund and, is okay with that 7 or 8, 9, 10%, yield each year instead of going after individual stocks and trying to hit a home run.
Listen to this guy. First National Bank of Central Texas. Anything else going on over there? You guys opening any more banks? I know you're on a roll. I mean,
no, that's not a monthly thing. That's a big investment right there. But you'll be the first to know when it happens. So,
all right. Dan Ingham, dude, thanks for coming by. No, always a pleasure. We got Cam next from Locked On Baylor. I'm always excited to talk to Cam, but we're talking Baylor St. John's tipping off in about 4 hours from now. Nice. So stay with us.